everyone, how are you? It's Wednesday. I'm just doing my little sherry thing and I'm a little bit late. And this is why I can't find my live. Mark is away with work, so I am going solo with the kids just while they're on cue. Hi. Just share to make sure. Okay, so it's going to be quite a quick one tonight, just because this is, well, I could go on for hours about this subject, but I won't. And there's one solution. There's one solution, one tip, one trick that I'm going to teach you tonight that I've learnt, which is just awesome, and it really, really works. So, so we're talking about communication, avoiding conflict, just how to communicate better, and also on the backside of that, flip side of that, I want to talk about focus because it's relevant to the first point. So just give me some hearts, or say hashtag live if you're watching live, or hashtag replay if you're watching on replay, because it always fascinates me, because I do get quite a lot of views on these now, which is awesome, but it's fascinating to me who watches it and when. Because, yeah, it's just interesting. So, well, let's get cracking. So the first thing I want to ask you a question. So I want to ask you, have you ever responded negatively to somebody when it was absolutely nothing to do with them? It was just because you were pissed off about something. So have you ever snapped? I mean, I'm sure you haven't. But have you ever snapped at your partner, your children, your mother, the person in the queue in Sainsbury's or wherever it is you shop, the postman, whoever? Have you ever been in a foul mood and snapped at somebody or shouted at somebody or been rude or just, you know, a bit off with somebody and it's absolutely nothing to do with them? I don't ever. That's a lie. I do that all the time. And somebody actually asked me a question a few weeks ago. Is like, why do I always? In fact, it was in my private Facebook group. So what happens is at the end of each month, in my private Facebook group, I do a Q&A based on the subjects that I've covered during the weeks and the month on my business page and my personal page. Oh God, this, when you're looking at yourself on this, it's the opposite way, so it just feels a bit weird. So I get to do that and it does the opposite way. It's very annoying. Anyway, so it's, I've lost my train of thought now. So we're talking about, have you ever responded negative to somebody when you're in a bad mood and you've just had absolutely nothing to do with them, but you've snapped at them? Anyway, so if the answer to that question is yes, the next thing is, isn't it true that the state we are in massively impacts and affects the meaning we give to a situation? If you're in a bad mood and your partner does something, and it's that thing that you find a little bit irritating, but when you're in a good mood, it's fine, you just brush it off. When you're in a bad mood, you'll pick at it, or you'll make a comment, or you'll make a snide remark or something. I'll give you an exact, hi Auntie, how are you? I'll give you an exact example from my life. You've heard of, like, I always use the dishwasher as an example because it's the one I remember. So if I'm in a good mood and Mark restacks the dishwasher after I've stacked it, I just laugh at his analness. If I'm in a bad mood, it makes me think, I'll make it mean that he doesn't think I'm good enough at housework and he thinks I'm rubbish at this and he thinks I'm rubbish at that. So I make it mean that. So therefore I then attack him, not physically, but my energy will be all negative and I'll just be like, ugh, and sighing and, you know, saying I'm fine if I'm being asked if I'm all right. And clearly I'm not. So if we know that our state massively impacts what we make something mean, because you'll have heard me say this before, and it's something that I bang on about all the time, is that nothing has any meaning apart from the meaning that we give it. Nothing. I've got some notes where I keep looking down because I've got quite a few points to make. So it's not the event, it's what we choose to do with that and what we how we choose to respond to that event that makes it what it is. Because, you know, the old adage of it takes two to tango, it really, really does. So if you're in a great mood, you're not going to respond badly. So it's all down to us and our state. Now, can we be in a great state all the time? Of course we can't, we're human. But it's so important to start to recognize our patterns of behavior. Now, if somebody is coming at you and the reason that you're in a bad mood is because it's something that they do that really irritates you. And it's something that they do that you've asked them not to do it and they keep doing it. And it's something that they, especially in partners and especially with kids as well, you know, it's something that they do that they just, it really pisses you off, and they do it all the time, and you've asked not to do it and they still do. Like for me, it would be Mark will put stuff, knives and stuff away while I'm cooking, and I'll need it, and it's in the dishwasher. It's a stupid little thing, but it irritates me. And I've asked him not to do it, and he does it. Not all the time so much now, because he tends to stay in the kitchen when I'm cooking. But so those little things, what I sometimes say, if I overreact, so if I'm in a bad mood, and I'd like to give you real life examples. So I'm in a bad mood and I overreact to that, and then he'll go, all right, you know, I've just put the knife away. And I always say to him, I'm not responding to this time. I'm responding to the 20 other times you've done it. And this is especially relevant if you're in a bad mood. Like if you've had a crap day, or you've got a headache, like I've got a headache today. You've got a headache, or you're just in a bad mood, or your day's just not gone well, or you've not been as productive you wanted to be, or you've got a list of things you've got to do that you've not got done. And then that one little thing, which seems so stupid, can just tip you over the edge. And then you look like an erratic mentalist, because you're overreacting to something so silly. So instead of just leaving that pattern, and that's a pattern that happened a lot for me. Like I would just that same argument or that same thing that you were bickering about, and it's like Groundhog Day. So if you in your relationship, and it might be with the kids as well, this might be happening with the kids, if you've got a pattern where it's always the same thing that you're ranting about, or it's always the same thing that starts the bicker, then it's really, as a grown adult, it's really, really, I encourage you to address it. Like, why do we always keep arguing about this same thing? Why is it that pisses you off so much? My answer to that normally is like, honey, it's not, I'm not overreacting to you doing it today. It's the 20 times you've done it before, and the impact of every single one of those all accumulating in this one reaction. So sometimes it's good to know that from both points of view, because if there's something that you do that your partner always overreacts to, know that they're not reacting to that moment, they're reacting to all the other times you've done it before. And that could be for anything over any area of a relationship. So the other thing, the other thing I want to talk about, which is the tip that I used to do that, but always in inanimate object got exactly. It's the meaning we give it. It's all the times it's happened before, and it's this stupid little thing, and you end up looking like a crazy bitch, but you're not. It's just some things that get somebody's skin. So the thing I want to talk about, this top tip, which is amazing, is that when somebody responds to you, it comes from two places, only two. And understanding this will make you brilliant at communicating. It will help ease conflict and maybe stop it happening, completely. Is it easy to do? Not all the time, because obviously there is emotions involved and things, none of us are perfect. However, I think knowing this bit of information and deciding and making a decision that every time this happens, you're going to go, hang on a minute, you're just going to pause. You won't always do it. None of us are perfect. But so a response comes from one of two places. It's either a loving response or a cry for help. Now, cry for help might sound a little bit dramatic, but think about what I asked you first. Have you ever responded to somebody negatively because something, and it's had nothing to do with them, but something else has gone on that's pissed you off, and therefore you've taken your wrath out, the thing that you're angry about over here, you've directed that anger at the person, then what happens? The other person then cry for help right back. The injustice of it all. Well, hang on a minute. I'm absolutely, hi Jenna, hi Kerry. I hope I've said that right. Kerry Kilburn. It's a lovely way of spelling it. So you respond as it's a cry for help. And when I say cry for help, what I mean is, I'm really stressed out. I'm really pissed off. This thing happened today at work. I've not told anybody about it. I'm really upset. And now you've done this thing, and now I'm going to overreact. What normally happens? The other person goes with the injustice, how wrongly they've been treated, and they've made it mean that this person doesn't love them. And oh, it's the Welsh spelling. Ah, I'm half Welsh. My mum's Welsh. She was a Jones. She's now a Smith. How unfortunate. So you'll see this pattern developing. Okay. So think about that. Oh God, it's so annoying. Think about that in the context of a day. So mom gets really stressed that the kids have a nightmare in the morning, so she's annoyed, right? And then she goes to work annoyed, or she goes to whatever annoyed and stressed and tired. And then she snaps at mom because mom is there and mom does what mums do. And so she snaps at mom, and then mom takes that really personally. So then mom goes off, shouts at her husband when she gets home. Oh God, I'll use my Charlotte would have snapped at me and with a bit of a row or whatever. And it rolls and it rolls and it rolls and it rolls. And this wave of negative, ridiculously unnecessary words and sentences and arguments and feeling, it ripples. But imagine if you could stop it dead. Oh, sorry, no, that way. Dead in your tracks. Imagine if you could do that. So if when somebody responds to you in a negative way and it's nothing to do with you, instead of reacting negatively and throwing a cry for help straight back at them, what you do is you go, "Are you okay? Like, what's the matter? What's bothering you?" And then they go, "Oh God, this thing went right today. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have snapped. I'm really pissed off and annoyed, and this happened." And then suddenly everything is dissipated. Because when somebody's reacting negatively to you and there's no need for it, or they might be being and if this is habitual and they're being a bit of a twat, then that might be them. But if you're in a relationship with this person, then what is the biggest reason for people breaking up? It's lack of communication. It's people not sharing how they feel, and it's people taking other people's actions and behavior personally all the time. And especially if you've been hurt in past relationships, especially if you've got you've come from that sort of environment, and you've taken that belief about relationships to a new relationship, and also massively to do with self-worth. So if you've got somebody who has real low self-esteem and self-worth, when their partner does something or overreacts or does something negative or says something negative because they've had a shit day, the person with low self-esteem goes, "Oh, he must not love me. He must not find me attractive anymore. He must be bored of me. I'm not good enough." And all this internal bullshit goes on in our head, and nothing's said. I mean, we've all done it. You've all had, and somebody said something to you or done something to you, and you're saying everything in here, and it's all negative about you, about the relationship. I mean, I've done it. You do it. Everybody does it. So they do something, and it's just because they had a crap day, and they've just taken it out on you, and that doesn't make it right. I'm not saying it's fine for people to do that, but it's how we respond to it. And by learning to, hang on a minute, now what is this? What else could this mean? So instead of automatically going to, this means he's not interested in me, or she's not interested in me, or if you've got a jealous streak, this means she's obviously seeing somebody else, she obviously fancies somebody else. There's and all this bullshit goes on in your head. You can see why people's relationships end for stupid reasons. I mean, I'm being a bit extreme there, but it's true. Lack of communication is at the basis of all relationship breakdowns, pretty much. sweeping generalization there, but you get what I mean. So it's not the event. It's not the event. It's what we do with it that matters. And so if somebody's responding to us negatively, instead of automatically going, just pausing and going, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're talking to me like that. Like, fucking hell, what's up with you? Fix your face." That's one that me and Mark say to each other. Fix your face, bro, fix your face. You know, instead of that, it's like, "You're all right." Because if you're, this is why self-esteem is so important, because if you're comfortable in your own skin and you know that all is well and you know that all's good here in this relationship, then when somebody is out of character, you know, being out of character or being an idiot or just being horrible, taking something out on you, the arguments that would be saved by pausing and just going, "What's going on? There's something the matter," and not responding in a negative way and not throwing your injustice and what you've made it mean in that moment back at them, because that's when massive arguments start. Or even worse, just silent arguments. There's arguments in your head that you're, "Can't believe," and all this is going on here, but nothing's been spoken. And also, if it is your fault, so that's, you know, that's if this negative thing has been directed to you and it's absolutely nothing to do with you, it's because they've had a bad day and they're taking it out on you. But if it is your fault, use that word loosely, but if the thing that they're angry about is because of something that you did, this works the same way. So if you've done something and somebody reacts negatively to it, or they feel, imagine how incredible it would be if you could not take it personally and go, "Okay, I hear you. Thanks for sharing. What could, you know, talk to me about it. Like, why is it annoyed you?" Imagine, I mean, what a grown-up conversation that is. What a grown-up adult conversation that is. To be able to go, "Oh my God, like, I didn't see it that way." This is where intention comes in. Because most of the time in relationships, like, I see it a lot, like, and I see it with me and Mark as well. It's like, we love each other a lot, right? We've been together nearly 10 years. We've got a great relationship. But sometimes he'll do something and sometimes I do something to him. And we will say, and in my head, and I'm sure he does it as well, I know he does because we talked about it, it's like, you're doing it on purpose to annoy me or upset me, which is madness, because we really care about each other. This is a thing that happens in relationships, not friendships. Like, I've always been fascinated by how somebody is with a friend compared to how they are with their partner. And so this is where intention comes into it. So take those two scenarios. Somebody's been horrible to you or directed something negative at you, and you have taken it personally, and you make it mean that they either don't love you, that you're not good enough, blah, 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 and you've also that they intended to do it. But if you actually really think about it, does this, right, I know who this person is. Like, I know this person. I know their heart. I know their soul. I know who they are as a person. Do I really believe that they've intentionally set out to hurt my feelings? Because intent is everything. And most of the time, no one intends. I never, ever, ever intend to go out there and deliberately hurt Mark's feelings, and vice versa. But it feels like that sometimes because we make it mean that that's their intention. So there's 2 points here. There's your state that you're in and how you take the information. There's the state that you're in to how you respond to the people. And there's also intention and knowing somebody well enough and having that point of communication where actually, I know you're not doing this to piss me off. I know I'm your sounding board. And there is that point that I said to this person that had asked this question in my group, it's, you know, we have to have some outlet. We have to have somebody to be able to air frustration to that we know loves us. And the reason we do it to the people we love is because we know they love us. And so therefore we feel that we can express anger and we can can say what we think and we can be hurtful. And it's somehow okay because we know that they're still going to be there. And that's okay. But if you're not careful, that can be a perpetual, nobody deserves to be somebody's punch bag, not literally, because that's obvious, but verbally, or no one deserves. And so if you're in a relationship where you constantly use each other to take your frustration out on each other, that's when relationships start to break down, and that's when the cracks start to show, because actually that's not fair on you or them. And so if you took this piece of information that whenever someone reacts to me, they're either giving me a loving response or they'll cry for help, which means I'm pissed off, I'm upset, I'm hurt, I'm just not in a great place about something. Is it if we had the intention of, when that happens, finding out what that something is, if that something is something to do with us, hearing what they have to say and appreciating and respecting their point of view, imagine how much better the communication would be between you and your partner. And this works for children as well. It works for every relationship. All very well, I know I can hear you saying it, all very well in practice. Yeah, it is, but it's one of those things that if you've got that knowledge, the next time this happens, you go, oh, this is what Charlotte was saying about, okay, is this a loving response? Clearly not. What's going on? Because we do that with friends. Like, me and my friends very rarely argue. I mean, I've been friends with some of my friends for 35 years, and we very, very rarely argue. And if one of them is a bit pissed off or a bit snappy, the first thing a friend will do is say, you okay? Because you're not being yourself. But we rarely do that in a romantic relationship. Do you see what I mean? There's this subtle dynamic difference. And I think that's because with friends, they don't have to stick around. And with friends, you could potentially lose them if you have a row and you're just a cow. But in a relationship, we think that it's just a done deal that they're going to be there. But it's not, is it? So I hope that's been helpful. The next thing I want to talk about, because it's sort of relevant, is focus. And not focus in the sense of work focus. This is about, thanks, honey. Not sure if the words, but your audio is breaking up a little. Can catch what you're saying. Sort of mention. Oh, anybody else? Hey, Pete. Hey, Chris. Hey, Linda. Hey, Victoria. Gorgeous girl. Is my sound okay for everybody else? It's a bit late now because I've only just noticed. Anyway, so focus. This is in relation to what you see and your view on the world, right? And so within regards to people and what we've been talking about, you will get what you see. You will get what you look for. And a lot of this, what I'm getting from, if you follow Tony Robbins, a lot of this is Tony Robbins stuff that I've sort of picked up over the years. But he does this thing where he's in one of his Date Destiny sort of big events. He'll say you get what you see, and he'll say stand up and look around the room and look for everything brown, like brown t-shirt, brown shirts, brown hair, brown walls, brown carpet, whatever. Look for everything brown. Sit down, close your eyes. How many red things did you see? Well, of course you can't remember any red things because you weren't looking for red things. You were looking for brown things, so all you can see is brown. And then he switches it and does red, and you can't see the brown. Very simple exercise for what I'm talking about, but and when it comes to people will be what you make them. If you're looking at someone and you're looking for faults, you'll find them. And so if you're looking at your partner, or you're looking at your friend, or you're looking at your kids, or looking at your mother, or whatever, and you're looking for faults, you will find them because we've all got them. But can you find some good in everybody? Of course. Everybody, every planet, person on the planet, and I'm talking, even evil people that we would consider evil, they had people that loved them. So if you look for good, you will find it. If you look for faults, you will find them. So if you're in a relationship and it's starting to feel like you're constantly bickering and you're constantly arguing and you're constantly overreacting to each other, a really good thing to do is just to start looking for the good stuff, the stuff that you saw in the beginning. Because what this lack of communication does over time you start to not see anymore what you saw when you first got together. And those things are still there. You just don't look for them anymore because you've made it mean their behavior mean. I mean, this is if they're being a complete idiot and not meant to be together. But this is it if you really, really love somebody and love somebody, but you're just starting to feel a little bit of a disconnection. It will be down to communication, and it will be down to you not looking for the things that are great in that person anymore, and just looking for the faults. And when you get what you look for. Also, when you focus on what you want, and this is for everything in life, but you have to focus on what you want, not what. Sorry, it's so annoying. Every time I go like that, it's going like that on the other side. It's so annoying. I've just got a comment. Hey, Lisa. God, I've not seen you for ages. You've got to focus on what you want and you'll get more of it. But if you focus on what you fear, you'll get more of that too. And I think this is really, 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 really important when it comes to jealousy. And I think jealousy is the most poisonous emotion when it comes to relationships. And so I've seen it in people where they're constantly looking for the other person to trip up. This person could not be doing a thing wrong. But this is where this plays out in such a toxic form. You get what you'll get what you look for. You'll say, oh, he looked a bit weird when he picked his phone up. Who was he talking to? Just them, they can't even look in the right way, and they're making it mean that they're texting somebody else on their phone. And all that dialogue's going on in their head, and you will get what you see. You get what you look for. And I think most of the time, if people are unfaithful in relationships where they were expected to be, then I believe that jealous people push. It makes it more likely to happen. Also, and that happens with massive old if that you've had that experience, and I've had that experience, we've all had that experience. At some point, someone's been unfaithful to us in some point in our life. And so this comes back to, it's not the event, it's what we do with it that affects us. And everything is a choice. So you get what you focus on. You have to focus on what you want from the relationship, or what you want from the career, or what you want from the job or the child, and not focus on what you fear, because whatever you focus on, you'll get more of. Get it? I love this subject. Oh, I've got some comments. Do you listen to the Skin podcast with Brené Brown? She talks about how people doing their best. Yes. Yeah. People, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. That's in one of her books as well. Like, are people doing their best? And if they are, then they need some leverage, and you've got to understand, because everybody's different and we're all just doing our best, right? None of us are perfect. But I think we've got to take that into our own hearts as well. Am I doing my best to be the best mum I can be, wife I can be, business partner I can be, whatever it is? And in fact, that is one of the 4 agreements. Oh God, what's it called? Oh, the book's called The 4 Agreements. I'll put the link to it. It's brilliant. But one of the 4 agreements is do your best. Do your best. I'm alive on that before, so I'm not going to them. Okay, hi Jess, how are you? Okay, so I think I'm done. So the top tip was, every time somebody responds to you in a negative manner and it is nothing to do with you, it means it's coming from 2 places, either a loving place or a cry for help. And if it's a cry for help because it's nothing to do with you, instead of responding in a negative way and making it mean that they don't love you, or making it mean that they're somehow horrible when actually you know deep down they're not, then don't respond with a negative, don't make it mean anything about you. Respond by asking if they're okay and get to the bottom of it, because it will end that argument there and then. The second thing is, so that was that. The second thing is that, what are you making things mean? Ask yourself the question, what else could this mean? Really, really good. So if you've naturally made it mean that it's it's something about you that you're not good enough, or they don't love you anymore, or the kids don't respect you, or your mum is not listening to you. What else could it mean? What else could they have going on that is making them behave that way? Are they being at their best? Are you being at your best? So just awareness around this communication stuff can make your life so much easier and harmonious, and it actually makes it a lot more interesting, because when you start to observe people and how they're behaving, and if you see a pattern developing in their behavior, it's something really interesting to talk about. You know, when you get into this kind of stuff, there's never a dull moment. There's always a conversation to be had, because you're constantly becoming aware of stuff that you do, areas that you got better at, things that are tripping you up, things that are triggering you, and why. I mean, Mark, you know, I have loads of conversations about this. We had one, you know, the morning before we went away to his conference thing. So it's like we just noticed this pattern that was happening. I was like, oh, is that interesting? I wonder why that happens. So being really curious about your behavior in your relationships with the people closest to you and how they're responding to you and how you make that better is a really, really good thing to do. So I think I'm done. Oh, and there's this quote: would you rather be right or in love? I'll end on that. Because our need to be right can be the cause of too many problems. So I'm going to leave you on that. Would you rather be right or in love? Okay, thank you for that. I enjoyed that one. Any questions, then please feel free to inbox me. I'll be doing a live Q&A in my private Facebook group if you'd like to join that. I'll put the link in the blurb at the top. And thank you again to all those that tune in and comment, and to my lovely that always come in and say hi. I appreciate you. Yeah, so I'm not sure what I'm talking about next week. It's been quite intuitively led this last couple of weeks. I've just done what felt right at the time, and I was listening to some stuff all related to this today, and I found it really, really interesting. So remember, the state we are in massively affects what we make things mean, so think about that. I'll leave you on that. Okay, have a wicked night. See you later. Bye.